2023 will mark 10 years of me producing content for YouTube, and this is how I wanted to celebrate. This car probably doesn't need much of an introduction, although it is rather subtle and might be mistaken for a regular 911, when in fact it's a 992 generation GT3 Touring, essentially a GT3 without its swan neck rear wing. An absolute wolf in sheep's clothing. This particular car is finished in Dolomite Silver and has the 6-speed manual gearbox. It's also optioned with the all-important carbon bucket seats, which look amazing, support you, and as I've found out on this trip so far, are very comfortable on longer journeys. Although this Touring is my absolute dream car, I'd never actually driven one until Porsche GB threw me the keys to this one last week. And there's a saying, never meet your hero, so I was always a little bit anxious about actually driving this car, just in case it didn't live up to my very high expectations. I've covered 1,500 miles over the past 5 days in this incredible car. Has it lived up to my very high expectations? You bet it has. What a piece of kit. What an amazing feat of engineering. Driving machines just don't get any better than this. At the heart of it, just like with the winged GT3, we have a 4-litre flat six that's naturally aspirated. Produces 510 horsepower at 8,400 RPM. But it will rev to 9,000 RPM. That's where the red line is. And you can do something that's called a flat shift, which means you don't have to lift the accelerator when you change gear. So let's just demonstrate that now. Into second, here we go. Right up. I'm not going to lift the accelerator. Just listen to that. In terms of handling, well, it's really hard to put into words how good this car feels. Once again, it borrows the GT3's double wishbone front suspension setup, which is brand new for the 992 generation. It completely transforms this car. We've at last got a GT Porsche that has a front end that can match up to the rear end of this car that seems to have endless grip through its 315 section rubber. The car feels so balanced and just completely unflappable. This tarmac's got so much grip, and I just can't find the limits in this car. At least I don't have a big enough pair to even try or attempt to find the limits of this car, because number one, I value my life a bit too much and others around me, and number two, the value of this particular car, well, we'll get onto that a bit later, but it just flows so well, and the harder you push, the better it feels when it sits into its suspension and you get it going. It just feels so good. particular touring has Porsche's standard steel brakes, and they work exceptionally well, but it does take a good day to get your head around how hard you can push that brake pedal, because if you don't, it actually doesn't slow down that quickly, but when you do, wow, it rewards you. So different to any other brakes in any other car, and it means you get so much feel. I'm sure the carbon ceramic option brakes are going to work better and sort of last longer, especially on track, etc. But don't be put off by the steel option ones, because, well, in the few days we've been filming up here, up and down this 10% gradient, I mean, they are just unreal. Unreal. I don't think I've got near kicking the ABS in, because they're just exceptional. Really, really are. And I've grown to really like them. And I've also grown some extra muscles in my legs. I've been very lucky and fortunate to drive the majority of the current 911 lineup. The base Carrera, the brilliant GTS, and of course that amazing shark blue GT3, which is essentially this car with a big wing on it. And they're all arguably better than each other. They all have plus and minus points. And although this touring is potentially my favourite 911 of all of them, it definitely doesn't cast a shadow over any of them. Porsche have recently just added the 911T, which sits at base price just under £100,000, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of case and argument for that being the best 911 in the lineup. They just can't build a bad 911 these days, and that must be a first world problem for a lot of buyers. But saying that, if you wanted one of these, well, unfortunately it's not as simple as coming up with the 150 odd thousand pounds this particular car costs, because you need to be on Porsche's special list to get one of these. Dealers only get a handful each, and understandably, well, they offer them to their biggest and best customers, and therefore the likes of you and I, if we had the money, would have to buy something lightly used. You're going to pay £100,000 premium for that, which is just crazy. But even at £250,000, and I can't believe I'm saying this, there's nothing else out there that I would rather have. This trip is a real celebration of what I've achieved on YouTube over the past 10 years. I've had some incredible highs and some really depressing lows, just like life itself really. But what I have learned is hard work does pay off. You do get there eventually, and I know some things can be really hard and difficult, and we've all been through it. It's part of life, and if you're going through a low period at the moment, just stay strong. You'll get there, and just work towards your goals, because this trip's been really emotional for me. I've really worked hard to get here, and it's just, I've been pinching myself every day, and it's amazing. It really is. I'm proud of myself, and I'm so grateful and thankful to each and every one of you. I'm not going to want to give this car back when I get home, but I'm so fortunate to have had this opportunity, to have been able to afford to do this trip, produce this content, and in turn give it to you guys as a thank you, as a small thank you, a small gesture for supporting me for so many years. Because without you lot, I wouldn't have my channel and I wouldn't be doing this. My content has always been about sharing my experiences with you guys, and I'm hoping that this particular video has done that better than ever. I'm so grateful to have had my good friend Patrick Films help me film and produce this video. As I'm sure you'll agree, the production value is a lot higher than it normally is, and that was the aim. I wanted to wrap up everything I've done in the past 10 years into one video and really try and get that over in a film. And I just hope that's worked. So massive thanks to Patrick, huge thanks to Porsche GB, Rob and the team for throwing me the keys to this amazing touring and allowing me to put 2,500 miles on it. I still can't believe that this is happening, but it is. Listen to that. I'll keep quiet for the last bit of the video. You can just enjoy that flat six and this scenery. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at another video very soon.